1.6 predicting weather. And we have Mr. Bauer there in the background, so just enjoy. We have our weather maps. Now we're going to be using the symbols on page 46. That's in your book. You need to know them. So here we have, what is this? What is that? We've already talked about it. You should have seen that and said, oh, that's a cold front. This one is a warm front. This one is an occluded front, which is very similar to the stationary front. Notice, the occluded front, everything's on the same side of the line, whereas the stationary front, things are on opposite sides of the line. Now something else about these fronts, all four of these are fronts that we've already talked about. The side of the line with the symbol shows the direction it's going. So for this one, this would indicate that the front is moving down or south. Same here, this front would be moving south. This front would be moving south. All three of these I have with the symbols on the bottom part of the line. Now the stationary front, as you remember, doesn't move. So it makes sense that the symbols would be on opposite sides of the line because the front's not going anywhere. It's just hunkered down. Now there's a couple more symbols. Let's just look at these. Here's ones that I want to make sure you know. So make sure that you look at that, your page 46, to come up with these. So take a look right now, pause the video, and I want you to look and determine, what does this symbol mean as different from this one, as from this one. These three are related. And then what does this symbol mean? It's a small dot. Also, take a look and find out, what is this funky looking thing? What does it mean? This little star, these three lines, and this triangle with a dot in the middle of it. Okay, so hopefully you came through and you found those on page 46. Now, also on page 46, there are whole sets of symbols that talk about wind direction. And if the line is off of the circle pointed to the left, that means the wind's coming from the west. If there's a line off the circle pointed to the east, the wind is coming from the east. Now, the more tails, meaning these little hash marks here, that there are on the lines, that means the faster the wind. Now on page 46, they do tell you what each hash mark, how fast each one is going. I am not going to require that you know the actual numbers, but if I give you a line with no hash marks, that looks like that, you should know that that is a much slower wind than this one with 2 hash marks. And if I wrote another hash mark on here and gave it 3 hash marks, that's even faster yet. And if I have a line that comes off of here in this direction, that would be coming from the northeast. So the lines always point to where the wind is coming from. Now, we need to talk about some ISOs. ISO means same. So an isotherm means the same temperature. So it's going to be the line of the same temperature. So on your weather map, you're going to have a line that's just drawn with a number in there. And that number means that everywhere on that line has the same temperature. More often, though, you see what are called isobars. These are lines, and they all have the same pressure. So if you have a high temperature or a high pressure system, or an H, then around that will be some circles or lines with smaller and smaller pressures as it goes away from the high pressure center. And then we have the idea of trying to control the weather. Now I'm going to let you read part of that, but the only way that we have found that you can actually do anything that will actually control the weather, and that is the seeding of clouds. Now to seed a cloud, you add something, some gunk, some particulates, maybe some dust. And if you add those into the clouds, then it creates rain or other precipitation, because that little dot lets the water condense right on top of it, and then it falls down as precipitation. So from here, that is the end of our weather unit. Hi, lady. And we are going to do an activity, and then we get to have our first chapter science test.